Focus Unleashed. We're going to jump in to something that is really, really critical for this time of the year. Most people think success comes from having a perfect plan, but the perfect plan only works in the perfect conditions. And life rarely gives you perfect conditions. The people who win aren't the ones with the best plan. They're the ones who can adjust the plan without losing the identity. Adaptability is the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming. I know for those of you who go to the gym can see the drop off between January and towards the end of March into April. Now, there's a lot of circumstances that go into that. It's getting warmer. People want to be outside. But things start to happen at this point in the year. Schedules get real. Schedules get busier. Things take precedent. And so you start to slack off in the areas that you really don't feel are important at this point in time. So today, we're going to talk about adaptability and why it's important for your success in 2026. So let's get ready, because this is going to be a really truthful conversation about adaptability. All right, let's get into it. So we're in April. April is no longer the beginning of the year. We're into the second half of the beginning of the year. So if you think about a basketball game or a football game, first quarter, you're kind of feeling each other out, putting the game plan in, running the plays, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. The second quarter, it's time to either adjust or continue down the path that you're going, adjusting along the way to make sure that you put yourself in a position to win. That's the same thing with success. April is no longer new. Motivation is gone. The hype is gone. The new year, new me, all that is gone. The fresh start energy is gone. Now you're dealing with real schedules, real pressure, real responsibilities, real fatigue, real life. This is where most people fall off. Not because they're weak, but because they never learned how to adapt. Adaptability is the separator. And I'm going to take that right back to the sports analogy, because if you look at a team who comes out and is not successful in that first quarter, if they don't adjust in the second quarter, things can get bad real, real quick. So being able to adapt to what is working against them and enhance what is working for them puts them in a position to recover and then still put themselves in a position to be successful. As a personal trainer, I see it every year around this time. Most people who have dedicated the first 3 months of the year to their health, that's no longer a priority. Not because they don't want it to be, it's because they just haven't found a way to make it work with the realness of life that kind of comes out of nowhere. When everything was going perfectly and as planned, life kind of comes out of nowhere and throws a curveball. to where you have to try to adapt to it. And if you don't adapt to it, you then create a position where you have to decide what is more important. Is going to the gym, even though I'm tired, important? Or making sure that I get in bed so that I can get up early and get to work? Is that important? Being able to adapt and say, hey, this is just as important because this is going to help me be more driven. This is going to help me be more focused. This is going to help me believe more in myself. So it's just as important as being able to adapt to the situation. So it's crucial in April to be adaptable to every situation that is now upon you based on the new year throwing that curveball at you. One thing that we have to kind of understand is adaptability is not abandonment. A lot of people confuse adaptability, with quitting. They think adjusting means giving up. They think pivoting means losing. They think changing the plan means the plan failed. But here's something to think about. Adaptability is not abandoning the mission, it's adjusting the method. Athletes do this every game. Coaches do this every quarter. Leaders do it every day. Adaptability is a performance skill. Excuse me. So a lot of people think if they're going to the gym 5 days a week and then their schedule gets busy and they have to cut it down to 3, they see that as pointless because they have been going for 5 and they've been getting really, really good results. Cutting down to 3 is going to reduce the potential of them to keep gaining on those results. But if you really think about it, 3 is better than 0. So if you stop doing it because it doesn't work in the perfect scenario, you have 0 chance of being successful. But if you at least adapt to it, adjust to what you're able to do, you keep yourself in the game until you can figure out how to get back to where you want to be. And sometimes that pivot that you make opens your eyes to, I can do less of what I was doing and still find success, which then relieves pressure and allows you to then focus on achieving those goals, but understanding you're now able to do more with your schedule because you don't have to focus so much on one thing. I'm not saying spread yourself thin, but understanding that you can do a lot and accomplish a lot with a little pivot kind of relieves the pressure that life throws at you when you're trying to accomplish a lot of things. I'm feeling that right now with a lot of things that I'm trying to accomplish. It feels like there's not enough time in the day. But as I pivot and adapt to my new situations and the things that are kind of getting in my way, as life often does, I'm finding that I have to be more attentive to being able to adapt instead of pushing through. And that is really what is helping me transition into the second quarter of the year. Just like in the performance episode, we judge athletes without seeing their behind the scenes. We don't see their injuries, their fatigue, their mental pressure, their personal life, their adjustments mid-game, their ability to pivot when the play breaks down. Athletes just don't perform, they adapt. They read the defense, they adjust the route, they change the pace, they shift the strategy. They respond to pressure in real time. And that's exactly what we need to do in our lives. A lot of times things are coming at us fast. You know, especially if you have a lot that you want to accomplish. Life just throws things at you fast. It's getting warmer, so you want to do more. Kids have schedules. You're not getting a lot of sleep. Work is picking up. Things just come at you very, very fast. You have to be able to adapt on the fly. Know when to take a rest day. Know when to push things off, not to the next week, but maybe to the next day, or even take a break midday and then come back and attack. Adapting to the scenario and how you feel is going to be crucial because sometimes you won't feel like doing it. Just like the other day, I told myself I wasn't going to work out. I wasn't going to work out and I was just going to push it back a couple of days. Well, in doing that, I said, if I do that, I'm going to put more pressure on myself. I didn't feel like doing it, but I knew that I had to do it. So I adjusted it a little bit to where the workout wasn't so intense, shifted what muscle groups that I worked so that I could get through it, still gaining ground on my physical goals, but not pushing myself so hard mentally that I was too fatigued to do anything else. That was my pivot, and that helped me get through the week. And it's been those kind of adjustments that have really helped me be the most successful I've ever been. So just like in a game, you have to do it on the fly. You have to adjust. You have to put yourself in a position to be successful. Sometimes that means slowing down. Sometimes that means taking a step back. Whatever it is, adapt to the situation so that you can keep moving forward. You never want to be stagnant. And a lot of times, because we are so focused on what is happening to us and not preparing ourselves to make the adjustment, we stand still so long that then we become stagnant and we don't have a process of moving from that stagnant position. So it's always being able to adapt to the situation so that we're consistently moving forward. Like we planned in the foundation phase in the first 4 episodes, our strides don't have to be big, long strides. They can be baby steps. As long as we keep moving forward, we're going to reach the goal. Adapting, being able to pivot, means that we're shortening our stride just a little, but we're still moving forward. Adaptability isn't random. It's not emotional. It's not reactive. Adaptability is identity driven. An adaptable person says, I can adjust without losing who I am. I can pivot without breaking my system. I can shift without falling apart. I can stay aligned even when the plan changes. Adaptability is the ability to stay you in changing conditions. I think the most success that I've had this year is based on me being me. I have figured out who I want to become. I have put everything in motion to become that person. And no matter what has been thrown at me, I have not changed the identity of who I am currently and who I want to be. And I think that is probably a huge part of the success that I've had thus far because my identity hasn't changed. I want to be a successful person. I want to achieve many things. And in the past, I have changed my identity instead of adapting to the situations. Instead of pivoting or adapting, I became a different person. I went from I'm going to achieve this goal this year to I'll do the best that I can. And that little identity shift is what caused me to fall back, become stagnant, and then eventually not accomplish my goals because I lost the identity that was pushing me forward. So if you continue to identify as a successful person and adapt to the situation and not adapt your identity to the current situation, you are still putting yourself in a position to move forward. And that makes all the difference in the world. I am still on the same trajectory that I was from December 1st to now. And things have gotten very busy. I'm coaching a couple of teams. I'm adding to my plate. But beyond that, I'm still who I am. So everybody kind of shifts based on the situations that are thrown at them. I've seen it. Things get busy, you're the tired mom. You're not the focused mom, you're the tired mom. Things get overwhelming, you're the stressed out dad. You're not the determined dad, now you're the stressed out dad. That identity shift creates situations where the road kind of forks. The identity change forks in the road and really takes you off the path to success, to achieving what you're trying to achieve. So stay focused on who you are, who you want to become. Adapt to the situation, adapt your schedule, adapt your systems, but never adapt your identity. Here's how to build adaptability into your life. Adapt your expectations. Life won't always match your plan, but your identity can still match your standard. Adapt your systems. Systems aren't rigid, they're supportive. They should bend, not break. Adapt your pace. Sometimes you speed up, sometimes you slow down, but you never stop. Adaptability is controlled movement, not chaos. This is just what I talked about. Sometimes you have to slow down. Sometimes you have to speed up. Sometimes you got to take a small break. Set the pace. You are in control of the pace. You do not have to accomplish your goal tomorrow, but you have to put yourself in a position to continue moving forward to accomplish your goals. That pace might be a walk, it may be a jog, it may be a run, it may be an all-out sprint, but you control the pace. That is going to help you be adaptable. Your systems. Your systems can adjust to the situation. You just have to sit down, think about the current system, how you can adjust it, and make it fit the situation so that you can keep yourself on track. They're not set in stone. They are adjustable. They are adaptable. They are yours. Use them to benefit you in any situation. Adapt your expectations, not your identity. The person you are and want to become have a standard. That standard means I do it when I'm tired. I do it when I'm sick. I do it. I do it. Never let your identity fall to the situation. You're tired. Yes, you're tired, but you're determined. All right? I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm not going to quit. You can feel the situation, but don't let it change you. People don't struggle because the plan changed. They struggle because their identity wasn't strong enough to survive the change. When your identity is solid, you can adjust the plan without losing the mission. When your identity is weak, any disruption feels like a collapse. Adaptability is identity in motion. You will feel pressure. You will feel overwhelmed. Those are feelings. As long as you don't identify as an overwhelmed person, a stressed out person, a exhausted person, you are still in the driver's seat to be successful. As soon as you identify as the obstacle that has presented itself, you start to lose control, and then chaos takes over. It is very important to continue to identify as the person you are currently as you work towards the person you want to be. I know I've said that several times through this podcast, but that is extremely important. It's something that I struggled with for a long time. Always changing my identity based on the situation that I was in. If I was tired, I'm tired. That made me tired all the time. If I was overwhelmed, I was overwhelmed. I lost my identity as the determined, driven, nothing's going to stop me, because I started focusing on what life was presenting me with. It's never going to be easy. You just have to be more determined. Think about your last 90 days. Where did life shift? Where did pressure show up? Where did your schedule break? Where did your routine get disrupted? And more importantly, did you adapt or did you fall off? Now, don't get me wrong. This is not just judgment. This is awareness. Because awareness is the first step to alignment. You have to be truthful. I was not truthful with myself for a very long time. I made excuses. Everything was the problem. I was never the problem. In December of 2025, when I finally acknowledged that I needed structure, that I needed a system, that I needed to do things even when I didn't feel like doing them, and I created that identity of the driven, extremely focused, determined individual, and built Focus Unleashed. That was the turning point. But it took some real brutal honesty with myself and looking back on years and years of failure, not because I tried and it didn't work, but, excuse my language, because I gave half-ass effort and it didn't work. That was hard for me to admit to myself, because I was always the person who the situation was just too much. I didn't have the right education. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the equipment. Blamed everything but the person who only gave effort when things were going perfectly. So I'm not judging you. I was you. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, yeah, but don't judge me, I'm not. My story is everybody's story at some point. I just love the fact that I can come and tell my story as I've built Focus Unleashed, because it's who I am. And hopefully, by sharing my story, I help a few people build their own story. And Focus Unleashed becomes a system that not only helps me, but helps many others. Adaptability is important, especially at this time of year. Like I said, we're in the second quarter. Things are going to get real. You're getting closer to accomplishing your goals. You're getting closer to winning, but life is always going to push back just to make sure that you are serious about accomplishing what you set out to accomplish. So here's the challenge for this week. Identify one area where life has shifted and adapt your system, not your standard. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a flexible identity. You need systems that bend. You need standards that stay. You need the ability to adjust without losing who you are. Adaptability is the skill that keeps you in the game when life changes the rules. And if you master this, the rest of the year becomes a lot easier. I am telling you this because I am living it. And at this point in past years, I was the overwhelmed person. I was the stressed out person. I was the person who wasn't fearful, but is now very fearful that I won't succeed. This year, I am relentlessly focused. Will do what I need to do no matter how I feel and continue to put myself in a position to move forward because I have goals to accomplish. I'm extremely excited about what this year has in store for me. It's already thrown a few punches at me, and I've taken them on the chin. I've adapted, I've pivoted, and now I'm right back in the fight. So think about that as you go into this week. How will you create the skill of adaptability to help you be successful in 2026? As always, stay focused and be ready to unleash it.